Hi everyone, and welcome to our 5th episode of Let's Chat, where me and Adrian get together and share with you some of the work coming from the Lead and Learning content line from Twinkl Scotland. My name is Gillian Stephen. I am the Twinkl Scotland Primary Segment Manager. I've got over 17 years teaching experience in Scottish schools, and with Twinkl I look after our content lines under the Primary Segment in Scotland, which goes from Twinkl Alba, which is our Gaelic product, Twinkl Play, our Twinkl Classic, which is your events and things that you use day to day. And our newest one is Leading Learning, which is led by Adrian and brings you things that will help you with your skill development and your day-to-day teaching. I'll pass over to Adrian.
Hi everyone, I'm Adrian. I am the educational content lead for the Lead and Learning content line. So my job is basically to provide that strategic overview to ensure that we're creating resources that are going to support you in the implementation of curriculum for excellence. I have just over 20 years of teaching experience, and for 10 of those, I was a primary school head teacher.
Excellent. And over the last 4 episodes, we've been talking about assessment within your classroom. We started looking at day-to-day assessment or formative assessment. We've looked at high quality assessments, and we've looked at the SNSAs, or the standardized national assessments. And today we are going to kind of tie all that together in a nice pretty bow, and we are going to be talking about achievement of a level within Curriculum for Excellence, and what resources we have in place at Lead and Learning to help you get that embedded in your school. So Adrian, why don't you take us through it? Do as you always do, dumb it down for us. Take us through, how do we get to this stage? We've talked about everything so far, but now we're at the organising of the achievement of these levels. How does that work?
So I think we've got to remember from the very start that assigning achievement of a curriculum for excellence level is our teacher professional judgment. That's what it's based on. It's a holistic judgment, and we take into account a wide variety of evidence. And that evidence is all the things that we've spoken about the last few weeks. So your day-to-day assessments, your high-quality assessments, and your SNSAs, National Standardized Assessment. So if this is the first video you watched, I'd really recommend you go back and watch the other ones, because this will make a lot more sense. So basically, achievement of a curriculum for excellence level is where we pool all of that information together and we look at it in a holistic way. So last week we talked about high quality assessments and the ABC of those. Basically, within the Curriculum for Excellence framework, achievement of a CfE level indicates that a learner has demonstrated the ability to apply their knowledge in new and unfamiliar situations. Achievement of a Curriculum for Excellence level also demonstrates that a learner has achieved a breadth of learning across the E's and O's, and an achievement of a Curriculum for Excellence level also means that a learner can respond well to the level of challenge set out within the E's and O's. So that was that ABC I spoke about last week. So the ABC part's really important in the high quality assessment, but to demonstrate that achievement, we need to pool all of that body of evidence together and look at it in its broadest sense to determine, does the evidence demonstrate that we've got a quality body of evidence that the learner has applied across a range of learning that we can then use to confidently say, yeah, I have enough evidence to demonstrate that this learner has achieved a Curriculum for Excellence level, be it early, first or second.
And I think that's really important as well, having all of the evidence from these different situations and showing that it can be done consistently, and not that they've just been able to do it in that one situation, or they sometimes do it, but they can forget to use something that they should be using. And I think as well, having that consistency helps for a child who perhaps didn't perform well in a standardized test due to having an off day, or something's going on within that child's life, and just having all of this evidence that comes around with your professional judgment, and using that to show a consistent achievement of the level is what makes it so important to have that, I think.
Yeah, and I think it's it's that mindset that assessment is ongoing and it's varied. It's not a one-off event that just happens and then we make a judgment. It's ongoing through our observations, it's ongoing through our classwork, it's ongoing through that listening and chatting to people day in, day out. But also it does include those one-off events such as our SNSAs, which is just, is one part of it. So it's that understanding that assessment is that ongoing and varied approach that we do day in, day out.
And so I thought this would maybe be a good time to start sharing some of the things that we've been creating to help with that. So we've got our achievement of a CfE Level Toolkit, which should just be coming up on the screen as we speak. Yeah, so the achievement of a CfE Level Toolkit, and already it's got a 5-star review, which is always a really positive thing for us to see, because it means that what we're making is being seen. This one downloads as a file, so you'll have to open it separately. But within that file, you'll find the achievement of a CfE Level Toolkit. It's a PDF that just kind of goes through the information, and then there is another document that you can kind of tie it up. But do you want to just talk us through this document first, Adrian, and see how it works? I need to share this tab instead. Here we go.
Yeah. So the first part basically just summarizes what I spoke about. It just goes back over that ABC, what is needed for a learner to demonstrate that they've achieved a curriculum for excellence level. I think the bit that would be good to jump to, Gillian, is the bit on page 2, which has the lovely jigsaw. There we go. So over the last few weeks, we've spoken about these types of assessments. So the body of evidence to make that judgment, I like to think of it of a jigsaw. You need these 4 pieces of assessment information to make sure that your assessment judgment is going to be reliable and valid. So we've got that day-to-day one, and we've got the termly periodic high quality assessments and our SNSAs or NSAs, whatever you call them. And then underneath it just goes into a bit more detail, which summarizes all the things that we spoke about over the last few weeks. And it's quite handy that we've got links on there that is going to take you to the resources that we've also spoken about. So the day-to-day assessment one will take you to those. The National Standardised Assessment will take you to all of those. So that will take you through how each piece of the jigsaw works and how it will all come together. And then we've summarized it all into a when, how, why, and where table at the end of the document. So that takes you through like each part of it. So the day-to-day assessments tells you how you go about and implement it in your class, why it's important, and where the evidence comes from. So that's just a good summary of all the things. And I think it's important, and I think we've mentioned this before, it's not about gathering masses amount of evidence and creating a portfolio of them. These are things that you should be able just to pick up, like the day-to-day, you've got your jotters in the classroom. The termly one there, Gillian, we've not really spoken about termly previously, but basically that's school dependent. A lot of schools will have end a unit or end a block of work assessments, baseline assessments. So each school will have another variety of assessment evidence that they can pull together. And we have organised our numeracy assessments.
Get one of them up for you just now.
Yeah, so we've organised our numeracy and mathematics assessments. We've organised them into early first and second. And within those, that's basically where you'll find all of our numeracy and mathematics assessments. We've got, at the very start, baseline assessments. So that's the early level one. We've got a baseline assessment for primary 1, and we've got a spreadsheet that will help you analyse that information. So that's another sort of assessment data point that you can pull information from. And then across the rest of the document, we've basically got topic assessments that you can use across the different organisers in maths, such as addition, subtraction, and so on. So that's the early level one. We've organised those for early, first and second, and they are on site. So that will support your termly assessments, but I know out there that schools will have a wide variety of other assessments that they use. It could be single word spelling tests and benchmarking through reading or their reading scheme. So again, all these other assessments that you implement are also valid. So basically, you pull all this information together. You may engage in moderation activities. We've also got a video on the importance of moderation, where you might choose a learner or a group of learners and say, this is the evidence that I've got for these learners. I believe I've got a quality body of evidence here. You would look at the benchmarks of Curriculum for Excellence as well. Obviously, you don't use those as a tick list, but basically, that moderation would be that chance to have that professional dialogue and see if you agree on the standards that are being displayed there. So this is not something you should really do on your own. It's, you know, a school level thing. Yeah.
It's got to be across, and that gets more difficult in your smaller schools. So if you've got stage partners and people that you can talk to on a daily basis, or on children that you're both working with a lot, then that obviously makes that part easier than if you're in a smaller school with single stage, or even working in a very small school where you're teaching a lot of kids, a lot of classes all in one group. But no, it's definitely helpful to have everybody singing from the same hymn book, as they would say, within your school.
So that last bit there just goes a bit more into the benchmarks and, you know, what you should try to avoid and how you should be using them in a way that's going to support your professional judgments. So that document rounds everything up quite nicely. There's also a Word document that we've put together just to support people in implementing and using this toolkit. It's not a document that needs to be used. It's just basically a starter that will help you think about how you may go about recording it, because each school has, you know, their own assessment or tracking process in place. So it's just a way where you can actually think about what is actually going to come into each aspect of the discussions or the process that you go through. So you may do it for a learner, a group of learners, thinking about a curricular area, so that you can fill these boxes in at the top. And it's just got some statements about the body of evidence for each type of assessment. So it's basically a statement that you can answer yes, no to, and write a comment. It's not a document that, you know, would need to be filled in for every single learner, you know. It's just something to help you navigate it and go through it. There is quite a lot there, but it's just to help narrow down the process you go through, the things to look for, and will help, you know, narrow down those professional discussions that you may have with other colleagues. So hopefully that's helpful.
It's really helpful though, because having it, like, a lot of us carry, we know the assessments in our head. You could ask about a pupil and you'll be able to spout off different things that you know they can do, but to have that written body of evidence so that during moderation meetings you've got it there in black and white. You're not relying on your callback to remember exactly what every child's done. And also it breaks it down into the different styles of assessments to show that consistency and to show that they've proved it across different areas and it's not just been a one-off. So I think this is just a really nice way to tie it all together. It's not onerous, it's just a nice kind of recording way
and
to do it.
It's not a checklist. It's not a, there's a no here, we can't make any judgment. You know,
Absolutely.
It's, you know, it's there just to help guide, and it's there to just help narrow those professional discussions. It's not there as I need to make sure that every bit has a yes in it. And, you know, if one bit doesn't, it's important to stress, as we've stressed in all the other videos, as the professional, you know the learners best in your class, and that is so important, that your teacher professional judgment trumps all other judgments. You know the learners, you know how they respond day in, day out, you know how they're progressing. So never feel that your professional judgment on a learner is less important than any other part of the evidence there.
Yeah. And I think that's kind of what we're trying to do here at Lead and Learning, is just provide tools to help you make that transition that bit easier. And I think this is just one of the other ones. And that's us kind of covered quite a lot of assessments. So the last few videos that we've made have all kind of led up to this point. We are going to start a new chapter, shall we say, when we meet next week, start talking about something else. So we hope you're enjoying these videos and that they're of use to you. Please feel free to share them or comment so that we know what we're talking about, or if there's something you'd like us to discuss in more detail, or start creating resources to help you in an area within your school or setting. Please feel free to get in touch. You can follow us on all the socials, Facebook, Instagram and TikTok at Twinkl Scotland, and feel free to get in touch with us anyway that you feel helps you. But thank you so much to Adrian for doing 90% of the talking today, because my throat is totally going. So I really appreciated all of that. And we will see you all next week. Thank you so much for joining us again. Bye.
Thanks, everyone. Goodbye.